Thuney, Jamal Adams, I don't care which one, just get something done.
Yo, everybody, dude, King Dingbat here. So today we have come with the hell is that? It's a big ass dog. Dallas still stinks.
Yo, everybody, King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope you guys are doing well. It was another late day for me. What can you do? I thought I was going to get home earlier, be able to stream, but it ain't happening today. Maybe tomorrow we'll see how things go. There's been a lot of talk about Jamal Adams because Jamal Adams wants a trade. He put the Eagles on the list. Me, I love Jamal Adams. I would love to have him, all those kind of things. But there are also other players out there who could be on the move, who the Eagles could go out and get. And there are a lot of Eagle fans out there who think the Eagles should go after Joe Thuney, the guard of the New England Patriots. Now, he's a Pro Bowl guard. He's 27 years old. He was franchise tagged, and he still hasn't signed his tender. Don't know what's going to happen with him long-term in New England, but he could be on the move. Now, the reason why he's out there and Eagle fans are talking about him is because Albert Breer came out and said in an interview that he could see the Eagles during training camp possibly going out and making a run at Joe Thuney. I could totally see that happening too. I would not be surprised. You need to protect Carson Wentz. You need to protect your quarterback. If you don't do that, you got problems. You can't afford to let your quarterback get hit, get beat up. And when you look at the Eagles' offensive line, and you look at Jason Peters is gone, Big V is gone, now you lost Brandon Brooks. There's a lot of turnover on that offensive line, and there's some real questions, not just about what Dillard's going to do this year, but about the interior of that offensive line. You have Jason Kelce, who's older. You don't know how many years he's going to play. So the Eagles' offensive line is a legitimate question mark, especially in the interior of it. No question about it. So if you go out and you get a guy like Joe Thuney, he would come in, he would be able to solidify that guard spot where Brandon Brooks went down, and it would help a lot. Now, when you look at Joe Thuney, and you look at what he's going to make, okay, and you look at what he's going to make, and you look at what Jamal Adams is going to make, if Jamal Adams is willing to play out his contract on a team that he's traded to, which he said he would be $7 million, over $7 million this year, and I believe over $9 million the following year. If you bring in Joe Thuney, you're going to pay him this year at least 1 year over $14 million, because him getting franchise tagged is exactly what he'll make in 1 year with playing under his franchise tag. Now he has till July 15th to sign a franchise tag or work out a long-term extension. Otherwise, he's got to play all year under that franchise tag. So, if you were going to go out and make a run at Joe Thuney, the question is, are you getting him as a 1-year rental? Or are you going to sign him long-term? And once you sign him long-term, what do you do with Brandon Brooks in the future? You're probably not going to keep both guys. So there's a lot of questions upon how that would work with Joe Thuney. If you go out and get Jamal Adams, you only have to pay him $7 million this year and $9 million next year if he's willing to play out his contract, which he said that if he got traded, he would play his contract out as long as he doesn't stay with the Jets. If he's on the Jets, he ain't playing his contract. So, which one is really cheaper? That's the question. Which one is cheaper? Which one is more affordable? Me personally, I got to go Jamal Adams. I got to go Jamal Adams because if I could get him to play those 2 years out, and then I can sit there and re-sign him after those 2 years, which gives me time to figure out how I'm going to make it work, because the Eagles would desperately have to figure out in 2 years how to make it work. I'm getting a guy who's 24 years old, going to be 26 when he signs a new deal, and he's around for a long time. Joe Thuney, I'm getting a guy who's making $14 million this year. If he signs an extension, maybe that number comes down this year, but you're going to pay him a lot of money in the future. And don't forget, he's already 27 years old. He'll be 28 in November. He's still young, don't get me wrong. However, I just don't know who is more affordable to sign. Some people think Joe Thuney, some think Jamal Adams. Me personally, I would prefer Jamal Adams because he's younger over Joe Thuney, even though I know that is a critical spot It's a critical spot for the Eagles. You have to have a guard. I hear you. However, the Eagles do trust. They do trust some of the young guys they have. They have time to figure out. Maybe you bring Jason Peters back. Maybe you do some things like that. No question about it. However, if you got Joe Thuney, you have to pretty much sign him to a contract extension by July 15th. And if you can't do that, he's playing a one-year franchise tag deal for $14 million. What are you going to pay the New England Patriots for a guy who may play for you for only 1 year? Okay, compared to what you're going to pay for a guy who's going to play with you for at least 2. So, I'm not sure how the Eagles go about with the Joe Thuney thing. If they go and they trade him, if you could get him cheap, like let's say you could get him for a second-round pick, a third-round pick, okay, maybe preferably a third, not a second, and you're going to bring him in for 1 year, then you're going to let him walk, okay, fine. But you sign him to an extension, I don't know that you can keep him and Brandon Brooks next year. So it's kind of a tough situation for me to imagine. I think it's almost easier to go out and get Jamal Adams. Even if you have to pay a first-round pick, it's worth it. Okay? Because he's willing to play under his contract that he's at until he gets an extension. It gives you 2 years to figure it out. See, the big mystery here, the big key that people have to realize is no matter whether you go out and get Jamal Adams, or no matter whether you go out and get Thuney, no matter who you get, you gotta make drastic moves after this season. You're going to cut major pieces no matter what. Whether you get these guys or not, you gotta make moves because of the cap. So it doesn't matter. Okay? It just is one more cut you may have to make. One extra guy you may have to eat money with. It's just the way it is. The Eagles, and I say that meaning to fit those guys in, you would just have to make one extra move of one of the many moves you're already going to have to make. So, the question is if you're going to make all these moves and all these cuts and all these drastic things anyways, then why not say that, hey, which one of these guys is the guy we build our defense or part of our offense around long term, and we could have as a guy to help build the franchise around? That's the kind of guys you keep and you bring in. So just because the Eagles have no money next year and the years after and all those kind of things, they don't have it whether they bring these guys in or not. All it is one extra move, 2 extra moves to get that money. And Jamal Adams, he's willing to play under his contract. He's willing to play 2 years. So that means you only have to come up with an extra $9 million of all the money you're already going to have to cut. They're going to do it anyways. What's the difference at this point? At least you keep a guy who you build your defense around. And I got to tell you, he could play with Kevon Wallace. I see him as more of an in-the-box kind of guy. I see Kevon Wallace as a guy who could cover. So I think they fit perfectly. Now, Joe Thuney, if the Eagles decide to go get Joe Thuney, I got no complaints with it at all. You need a guard. And both positions, whether it's Adams or Thuney, there's nobody wrong. You both make excellent, great points. But the main point is this. The Eagles still need more to get better. And I think that's obvious for all of us. We want them to get to that next level. We want them to take that next step. And I think when you see the Eagles, possibly going after so many guys and people talking about getting so many guys, it's because we don't think they've done enough yet. That's the honest truth. And so I'm hoping that this team is going to go out and do just that this year. Anyways, Joe Thuney, Jamal Adams, as far as I'm concerned, get something done. You know what I mean? With that said, take care. Talk to you later. And don't be a dingbat.